The twin suns of Viridian 7 had begun their slow descent toward the horizon, painting the sky with colors no human eye had names for. Pale streaks of violet mingled with burning gold, and the jagged rock formations of the planet glowed faintly with the residual heat of the day. Commander Elias Kane stood on the edge of a cliff, scanning the distant ridges with his optical visor. The wind carried a faint hum, a strange resonance that seemed almost alive. Elias was no stranger to unusual worlds. Humanity had expanded far beyond Earth, sending research teams and colonists to remote planets in search of resources, knowledge, and survival. But Viridian 7 was different. Its energy fields were unstable, unpredictable, and unlike anything recorded in the interstellar archives. Many had called it dangerous. Elias preferred the word mysterious. A faint signal pinged on his communicator. "Commander Kane," a voice said, crisp and tense. "The energy surge readings are spiking near Sector Delta. Proceed with caution." It was Technician Vero, the youngest member of the outpost team, yet one of the sharpest minds Elias had ever met. "I'm aware, Vero," Elias replied, his eyes fixed on the distant ridge. "I'm already on my way." He adjusted the straps of his exosuit and began descending the cliffside, careful with each step on the brittle rock. The hum in the wind grew louder, vibrating through the soles of his boots and into his chest. It was almost as if the planet itself was alive, breathing, and watching. Suddenly, a shimmer in the distance caught his eye. A figure crouched near a rock formation, half hidden by the swirling dust. Elias frowned. He wasn't expecting anyone out here. The outpost had strict travel protocols. "Hello," he called, raising a hand. The figure froze. Then, slowly, a woman stood up, brushing dirt from her suit. She was tall, with dark hair pulled into a tight braid, and her hazel eyes were wide with both fear and determination. Who are you?" she asked, her voice steady but cautious. "Elias Kane, commander of the Viridian 7 research outpost," he said, keeping his tone calm. "And you?" "Dr. Lyra Soren," she replied, her eyes scanning him carefully. "Astrophysics. Orion Expedition." "Doct?" Elias blinked. "Orion Expedition? They weren't supposed to arrive for another week." "What are you doing here?" he asked. Lyra hesitated, then shrugged. "I got ahead of schedule. There's something here, something affecting the energy fields in ways that aren't normal." Her eyes flicked to the ridge above them. "I wanted to see it for myself." Before Elias could respond, the ground beneath them shook violently. A wave of energy pulsed through the cliffside, and rocks loosened, tumbling into the canyon below. Lyra froze, her foot slipping on the jagged stone. "Elias!" she cried. Without thinking, Elias lunged forward. He grabbed her wrist, his grip gentle but firm, pulling her back from the edge just as a rock the size of a boulder shattered where she had been standing. He held her wrist softly, and everything changed. A wave of light passed between them, not visible, not audible, but felt. It rippled through Elias's chest, filling his mind with visions. Sprawling alien cities, stars being born, energy flowing like rivers in the void. Lyra gasped beside him, clutching his arm. What just happened?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "I don't know," Elias admitted, his own heart racing. "But stay close to me. The planet, it's reacting." The energy surged again, this time forming a visible aurora above the ridge. Streams of violet and green danced in the sky, bending and twisting as if alive. Lyra stared in awe, and for a moment, Elias thought she looked like she was seeing something beyond human comprehension. "Do you feel that?" she asked, her voice soft. Elias nodded. "Yes. It's connecting us." "Connecting?" she echoed. "It's like the planet knows we're here," he said carefully. "Or it knows something about us." For several minutes, they stood in silence, the wind carrying the low hum of the planet, their hands still touching. It wasn't just the planet reacting. It was them. Every subtle shift in their emotions seemed to send ripples through the energy field, and in return, the field influenced their thoughts, their senses, even their instincts. Lyra tilted her head, studying him. I've read about phenomena like this in theory, but never in practice. It's like the planet is alive, and it's trying to communicate. Elias looked at her, seeing the same awe reflected in her eyes. Then, we need to be careful, he said. We don't know what this could do. A sudden gust of wind swept through the canyon, stronger than before. It carried with it sparks of energy that danced across the rocks, lighting the shadows in an eerie glow. Elias pulled Lyra closer, shielding her with his body. They moved together, each step careful but deliberate, toward the flatter ground below. Why didn't you wait for the Orion expedition team? Elias asked after a moment, trying to break the tension. Lyra's lips pressed together. Because some discoveries can't wait, she said simply. I couldn't risk missing it. And now, I see why. The outpost lay several kilometers ahead, nestled in a natural basin. As they approached, Elias's communicator buzzed again. Commander Kane, you're out of protocol range, Vero's voice warned. Please report your status immediately. Elias glanced at Lyra. Let's handle this first, he said, pressing a small button on his suit to mask their energy signatures. They needed time to understand what had just happened, and what it could mean. At the edge of the outpost, Elias and Lyra paused. The twin suns were now dipping behind the horizon, casting long shadows across the metallic structures. Inside, lights flickered on, casting a soft glow against the harsh terrain. Humans moved about, oblivious to the strange energy beyond the walls. Do you think anyone will believe us? Lyra asked, her voice low. Elias smiled faintly. Maybe not yet, but we'll show them. One discovery at a time. As they entered the outpost, the hum of the planet seemed to fade slightly, as if acknowledging their presence. But Elias knew it was only temporary. Viridian 7 had awakened something in them, something that could not be ignored or undone. In the lab, they carefully began scanning their suits for residual energy readings. Both of them felt subtle changes, hearts beating in sync, thoughts overlapping briefly, instincts sharpening. It was disconcerting and exhilarating at the same time. Lyra looked at Elias, a half-smile forming. I've read about humans adapting to extreme environments, surviving against all odds, she said. But what if we're evolving? Not just physically, but something more? Elias met her gaze. If that's true, then this planet, it chose us, and we'll need to understand why. They worked late into the night, running scans and comparing data, but the resonance between them never faded. Even in the quiet of their separate quarters, each could feel the other's presence, a soft echo in the mind that was both comforting and strange. As the twin suns finally disappeared beneath the horizon, leaving the planet bathed in silver starlight, Elias stood at the observation window, watching the shimmering auroras above. He thought of Lyra, of the moment he had held her wrist softly, and of the unexplainable force that now connected them. Something extraordinary had begun. And humanity, small, fragile, and untested, was about to encounter the universe in a way no one had ever imagined. For the first time, Elias understood that a single moment, a single touch, could change everything. The morning light on Viridian 7 was sharp, cutting through the thin atmosphere like a blade. Elias Kane stepped onto the observation platform of the outpost, the cool wind tugging at his exosuit. The twin suns were still rising, painting the jagged cliffs in gold and pale violet. Yet the hum of the planet, the same strange resonance that had pulsed through him and Lyra the previous day, was already present, softer now, almost like a heartbeat. Inside the outpost, Dr. Lyra Soren was already at the lab, surrounded by holographic displays and equipment that flickered with energy readings. She glanced up as Elias entered. "Good morning, Commander," she said, her voice steady, though her eyes betrayed a spark of excitement. Or should I say, "Good morning to the planet?" Elias smiled faintly. "It seems to have taken a liking to us." He stepped closer. "Any changes overnight?" Lyra nodded. Our initial scans show that the energy field around the outpost is different. It's stabilizing in ways I didn't expect. And I think it's reacting to us. Elias raised an eyebrow. Reacting how? See here, she said, pointing to the holographic display. Streams of violet and green energy pulsed across the screen, forming patterns that seemed almost deliberate. These fluctuations correspond to our movements, our proximity, and I think they correspond to our emotions too. Elias frowned, studying the display. You mean, the planet senses how we feel? Lyra nodded slowly. Not just senses. It responds. And there's more. She hesitated, glancing at him. I think our minds are linked. Since yesterday, I can sometimes sense what you're thinking. Elias froze for a moment, recalling the pulse of energy that had passed between them when he had grabbed her wrist. He could still feel it, faintly. A warm hum in his chest. I've noticed it too, he admitted. It's subtle, but undeniable. For the next few hours, they ran experiments together, moving small energy nodes around the lab and observing how the planet's field reacted. Each time their hands were near, their thoughts seemed to synchronize, their instincts aligning perfectly. The experience was eerie. But it also gave them a sense of empowerment. They could anticipate each other's movements, even communicate without words. By midday, the rest of the outpost team had begun to notice unusual readings. Technician Vero approached Elias cautiously, holding a portable scanner. Commander, Vero said, his eyes wide. Our sensors are showing energy spikes around the lab. They're concentrated on the two of you. Lyra waved him off. It's fine. It's not dangerous. Not yet. Vero shook his head. I don't know. This is beyond any natural phenomenon we've ever recorded. We need to be careful. Elias placed a hand on Vero's shoulder. We are being careful. We're observing, not interfering. But whatever this is, it's reacting to us, not the equipment. Despite Vero's protests, Elias and Lyra continued their work, moving farther from the lab and toward the outer cliffs, where the energy resonance was strongest. As they walked, Elias noticed something extraordinary. Small rocks and dust particles floated briefly off the ground, drawn toward them, as if the air itself were bending to their presence. It's responding to us, Lyra said in a hushed voice. Like it recognizes that we're human. Elias glanced at her. Do you think it's testing us? Lyra shrugged. I don't know. But whatever it is, we need to learn from it, not fear it. Hours passed as they explored, running scans and documenting every anomaly. The resonance between them grew stronger. Their minds intertwined more deeply. They could anticipate each other's movements perfectly, sometimes even sharing thoughts before speaking. Elias found it strange, yet comforting, like having a constant companion who understood him completely. As the twin suns dipped lower, casting long shadows across the cliffs, a sudden surge of energy erupted from the planet. The ground trembled beneath their feet, and the air shimmered with violet light. Elias instinctively reached for Lyra, grabbing her wrist again, softly but firmly. The connection pulsed stronger than ever. This time, the visions came not only to Elias, but to Lyra as well. They saw vast alien cities, suspended in energy fields, stars forming in brilliant colors, and rivers of light flowing through the cosmos. They glimpsed civilizations older than humanity. Yet somehow, they understood the patterns, the logic behind the chaos. We can see it, Lyra whispered, her voice trembling. We can see what the planet sees. Elias nodded, though he struggled to comprehend the depth of their shared vision. It's giving us knowledge, guiding us. But why us? Why now? They spent the night on the cliffs, observing the energy and documenting their findings. Every subtle emotion, every word, seemed to create waves in the resonance. Even a small laugh from Lyra caused sparks of energy to dance across the rocks. Elias realized that the planet was not just reacting, it was learning from them, adapting to their presence. By morning, the team in the outpost had noticed the changes. Vero approached cautiously again, holding the portable scanner. "Commander Kane." "Dr. Soren," he said, voice tense. "The energy readings are off the charts. The whole planet seems alive. You need to report this to command." Elias shook his head. "Not yet. We need more data. We can't risk anyone interfering before we understand what we're dealing with." Lyra nodded in agreement. "This is bigger than anyone imagined. If we reveal it too soon, people will panic. We need to be ready." As they continued their exploration, Elias noticed a change in their abilities. Small objects floated with just a thought. Subtle shifts in the energy field could be controlled with concentration, and even their senses became sharper. They could hear the faint vibrations of distant rocks shifting, see subtle energy streams invisible to ordinary eyes, and sense the presence of life even when hidden. "It's like we're evolving," Lyra said quietly, staring at the horizon. "Not physically, but something else. Something more." Elias watched her, understanding. Humanity had always survived through courage, creativity, and adaptability. But this was something new. It was as if the planet had unlocked a hidden potential, a connection that went beyond normal human capability. Their bond deepened, not just through necessity, but through understanding. They could anticipate each other's actions, share ideas instantly, and even sense the other's emotions with startling clarity. It was disconcerting, yet empowering. As they returned to the outpost that evening, the resonance of the planet followed them. Faint, but persistent. The twin suns had vanished beneath the horizon, leaving the sky illuminated by the strange auroras of Viridian 7. Elias glanced at Lyra, her hair glowing in the light of the energy streams. "Do you ever wonder," he asked softly, "if this is just the beginning?" Lyra turned to him, eyes shining. "Every moment we spend here, I know it is. And whatever comes next, we'll face it together." Trime. 141. Trime. Trimes now. Trime. In the lab, they continued their research, running simulations, and observing the subtle changes in the energy field. Even as the other members of the outpost watched with a mix of curiosity and fear, Elias and Lyra knew they were experiencing something extraordinary. They were human, yes, but perhaps humanity had a greater potential, waiting to be awakened. That night, as they prepared for rest, Elias felt the familiar hum in his chest, the connection with Lyra, and with the planet. It was no longer just a pulse of energy. It was a living presence, a guide, a challenge, and a promise. He reached out instinctively, touching Lyra's wrist softly once more. The connection flared briefly, and they both felt it. Hope, fear, curiosity, and a thrill unlike anything they had known. The universe had opened a door for them. And for the first time, Elias understood that humanity's journey was only beginning, not just across the stars, but within themselves. A single touch had changed everything. The auroras of Viridian 7 had become a nightly spectacle, streaking across the sky in violent purples and greens. The outpost hummed with quiet tension. Commander Elias Kane and Dr. Lyra Soren had spent countless hours studying the energy resonance that connected them to the planet, but something had changed. The subtle pulse that once felt welcoming now carried an undertone of warning. It started with small tremors. Rocks shifted inexplicably near the cliffs. Energy readings spiked beyond the limits of their instruments. At first, Elias thought it was merely the planet responding to their experiments, but the changes grew faster, more precise, and unnervingly intelligent. "We need to be careful," Elias told Lyra, as they walked toward the outer cliffs for their usual survey. "This isn't just reactive anymore. Something is observing us, studying us." Lyra's brow furrowed. "I've been thinking the same thing. Yesterday it felt like we were guiding the planet. Today, it feels like it's guiding us." As they approached the edge of the cliffs, a shimmering wall of light rose from the jagged rocks below. Elias instinctively grabbed Lyra's wrist, soft but firm, and they both felt a pulse, a deep, resonant hum that vibrated through their bones. The energy swirled, forming a pattern that resembled a doorway or a barrier. "Do you see that?" Lyra whispered, awestruck. Elias nodded. "It's intelligent. It knows we're here." The rest of the outpost had begun to notice strange occurrences as well. Machines malfunctioned sporadically. Power fluctuations surged, and sensors recorded anomalies in the air itself. Technician Vero approached the two cautiously. "Commander," he said, voice tight. "The energy spikes are concentrating on the cliffs. I don't know if it's friendly." Elias exchanged a look with Lyra. "We don't know if it's anything yet, but we're going to find out." They advanced toward the shimmering energy, feeling the hum intensify with each step. The farther they went, the more aware they became of the planet's intelligence. Rocks floated slightly above the ground, dust particles swirled around them, and the wind carried subtle whispers, sounds that almost resembled words but vanished when they tried to focus. "It's testing us," Lyra said quietly. "It's seeing if we understand it, if we can respond correctly." Elias nodded, a shiver running down his spine. "Or it's preparing for something." Suddenly, a massive surge of energy shot from the cliffs into the sky, forming a colossal, transparent structure that resembled a crystalline sentinel. It hovered above the canyon, scanning the outpost below with beams of light that pulsed rhythmically. Elias and Lyra instinctively held each other's wrists again. The connection between them flared, stronger than ever, and the sentinel seemed to respond. "It's observing us," Lyra whispered, her voice trembling. "It's alive, but not like a creature. It's something else." The resonance between Elias and Lyra allowed them to perceive patterns in the sentinel's energy. The structure wasn't hostile yet, but it was assessing, calculating, judging the human's potential. Every heartbeat, every thought, every instinct was being recorded, analyzed, and tested. "We need to communicate," Elias said. "Not with words, but with our bond. If it senses our intentions, maybe it will understand that we mean no harm." "Ah." Lyra nodded, her grip tight on his wrist. They focused, concentrating on calmness, courage, and cooperation. They projected thoughts of unity, of humanity's desire to explore, learn, and understand, hoping the sentinel would sense it. For a moment, nothing happened. The air hung heavy with tension. Then, a beam of light shot toward them, not with violence, but with probing curiosity. Elias felt a surge of knowledge in his mind, visions of the sentinel's origin, energy systems beyond human comprehension, and the immense responsibility of existing near such a structure. "It's sharing with us," Lyra whispered. "It's showing us what it is, what it knows." The connection grew stronger, and they realized that their bond was more than a link between minds. It was a bridge between species, between intelligence, beyond humanity, and the human potential for understanding. They could feel the sentinel's awareness like a gentle pressure on their minds, nudging them to respond with caution and empathy. "We have to remain calm," Elias said, sweat forming on his brow. "We cannot let fear dictate our actions." They experimented carefully, sending small waves of energy through their bond, guiding the sentinel's pulses. Slowly, the massive structure responded, retracting its beams and shifting its position. It was not hostile. It was curious, testing the boundaries of the human's abilities and intentions. Meanwhile, the outpost was in chaos. Crew members panicked as equipment malfunctioned. Power surged, and lights flickered unpredictably. Elias and Lyra returned to the outpost, the sentinel following their movements silently. Inside the command center, Vero and the other crew watched in amazement. "Commander Kane," Vero said, voice trembling. "What is happening out there?" That thing. It's huge." "It's a sentinel," Elias said calmly. "It's assessing us, and it seems to respond to our connection." Lyra stepped forward. "It's testing humanity's potential. It's not just measuring strength or intelligence, it's observing empathy, cooperation, understanding. For hours, they worked to understand the Sentinel's behavior. The connection between Elias and Lyra allowed them to anticipate its actions, respond appropriately, and even influence the energy streams in subtle ways. Every movement, every thought, every breath became part of a complex dance, with an intelligence far beyond human comprehension. But as the night deepened, the Sentinel shifted its behavior. The probes became more precise, targeting specific sections of the outpost. The humans realized that any mistake could have catastrophic consequences. The Sentinel was impartial. It did not hate humanity, but it did not tolerate recklessness. "We have to synchronize completely," Elias said, gripping Lyra's wrist softly. "If we want to survive, we need to act as one." Lyra nodded. "I'm ready." Together, they focused, projecting a combined energy signature through their bond. The Sentinel paused, its pulses aligning with theirs. It was not a battle. It was a test of understanding, of human potential. And for the first time, Elias and Lyra realized that humanity's strength was not in weapons or technology alone. It was in courage, empathy, and cooperation. Hours passed in this delicate balance. Every misstep risked disaster. Every moment of hesitation could provoke the Sentinel. Yet, Elias and Lyra persisted, relying on their connection and their understanding of one another. Slowly, the Sentinel began to respond with gentleness, retracting its probing beams and emitting soft waves of energy that seemed almost like approval. "It's accepting us," Lyra whispered, awestruck. Elias exhaled, a sense of relief washing over him. Not just accepting, recognizing. It sees our potential. As dawn approached, the Sentinel rose higher, its crystalline form shimmering against the soft light of Viridian 7's twin suns. The resonance between Elias and Lyra remained, a bond now stronger than ever. Reinforced by the trials of the night, they had faced an intelligence beyond human comprehension and emerged not just unscathed, but enlightened. The outpost crew slowly regained composure, watching the Sentinel hover in the distance. They did not fully understand what had happened, but they knew humanity had been tested and humanity had passed. Elias turned to Lyra, a faint smile on his face. "We've survived the night. But this is just the beginning. The planet, the Sentinel, they're teaching us something, and I think we're ready to learn." Lyra nodded, her eyes bright with determination. "We've seen what humans can do when we work together. And now, we need to see how far we can go." For the first time, Elias felt a profound sense of purpose. Humanity was small, fragile, and untested, yet it had survived the scrutiny of an intelligence far beyond comprehension, and through courage, cooperation, and empathy, it had emerged stronger, wiser, and ready to face the challenges of a universe that was larger and stranger than anyone had imagined. A single touch, the soft grasp of a wrist, had unlocked this potential, and now, Elias and Lyra knew that the journey ahead would demand all of their courage, all of their understanding, and all of the humanity they could muster. The Sentinel hovered silently above, a reminder that the universe was alive, aware, and waiting. And humanity was ready to awaken. The morning sky over Viridian 7 was alive with color. The twin suns rose slowly, casting long shadows over the jagged cliffs, illuminating the shimmering auroras that danced in the distance. Commander Elias Kane stood on the observation deck, feeling the familiar hum of the planet thrumming through his body. Beside him, Dr. Lyra Soren adjusted her visor, eyes fixed on the horizon. The Sentinel hovered above the cliffs, larger and more brilliant than ever. Its crystalline form pulsed with energy, casting reflections across the canyon. Unlike before, it no longer moved with curiosity. It seemed to wait, patient, immense, and aware. Elias glanced at Lyra. "This is it," he said softly. "It's testing us one last time." Lyra nodded. "I can feel it too. It's expecting something from us. We need to be ready. The resonance between them was strong. The connection that had begun with a simple touch on the cliffs now coursed through their minds like a living river. They could anticipate each other's movements, thoughts, and emotions perfectly. Every pulse of the Sentinel's energy was mirrored in their minds. Every flicker of doubt was shared, every surge of courage amplified. They stepped forward together, hands touching, wrists lightly pressed. The hum of the planet grew louder, vibrating through their feet, their bones, their very hearts. Elias felt a thrill of fear and excitement. But he forced himself to focus, to channel it all into calm, deliberate intent. Remember, he said quietly, it's not about strength, it's about understanding. Lyra closed her eyes, taking a deep breath. We're ready. With that, they projected their combined energy through their bond, focusing on clarity, empathy, and courage. The Sentinel pulsed in response, light streaming outward in waves. Elias and Lyra felt themselves lifted slightly off the ground as the energy enveloped them, connecting their minds fully not just to each other, but to the Sentinel, and to the very resonance of Viridian 7 itself. Visions flooded their senses. They saw the Sentinel's origin, an ancient intelligence, created by civilizations long gone, designed to test, guide, and protect life capable of understanding the universe. They saw worlds destroyed through ignorance, and worlds saved through cooperation. And they saw humanity not yet perfected, yet full of potential, capable of rising to the challenge. It's showing us everything, Lyra whispered, her voice trembling with awe. Elias nodded, even as he struggled to comprehend the immensity of what he saw. It's a teacher, he said, a guide, and it has chosen to see the good in us. For hours, they stood in the energy field, allowing the Sentinel to probe, guide, and assess. Their bond acted as a bridge, translating human intent into a language of pure resonance. They did not speak aloud. Words were unnecessary. Their connection, honed through countless hours of shared experience, was enough to convey every thought, every choice, every emotion. The Sentinel's energy shifted again, forming patterns that resembled constellations, rivers of light flowing across the sky. Elias realized it was offering knowledge far beyond anything humanity had discovered. Navigation through interstellar currents, energy manipulation far more advanced than their technology, insights into survival on a cosmic scale. It wants us to learn, Lyra said softly. Not just survive, but grow. Elias held her wrist softly once more, their connection intensifying. Then we will learn, and we will make humanity worthy of this trust. As they absorbed the Sentinel's guidance, they began to understand the depth of human potential. It was not in weapons, technology, or brute force. It was in cooperation, empathy, creativity, and courage. The planet, the Sentinel, even the energy itself, seemed to respond to these qualities. Fear and aggression produced only resistance. Understanding and respect produced harmony. Hours passed, though time itself seemed to bend in the presence of the Sentinel. Eventually, the energy began to calm, settling into gentle pulses that mirrored the rhythm of their own hearts. Elias and Lyra opened their eyes, feeling changed, not just connected to each other, but to the planet, the Sentinel, and a universe that suddenly felt larger, fuller, and more alive. The Sentinel pulsed one last time, its beams of light focusing on them, before rising slowly into the sky. It hovered for a moment, as if acknowledging their success, then vanished into the horizon, leaving only the auroras dancing in the distance. Elias and Lyra stood in silence, hands still touching, absorbing the enormity of what had just occurred. The outpost crew, who had watched from below, slowly approached, eyes wide with awe and disbelief. "Commander Kane," Vero said, his voice trembling. What just happened?" Elias turned to the crew, a faint smile on his face. "It recognized us," he said simply. "Humanity. Our courage. Our empathy. Our willingness to understand. That is what it values." And now, it has given us knowledge to help us grow. Lyra stepped forward, her eyes shining. We have been given a gift, not of power, but of potential. A chance to rise above fear and conflict, to see the universe as it truly is, and to learn from it. The crew exchanged glances, some skeptical, some awestruck. But there was no denying the changes in Elias and Lyra. Their confidence, their calm, their clarity of thought, the connection they shared was now evident to all, a living proof of what humanity could achieve when united in purpose. As the day progressed, they began sharing the knowledge the Sentinel had imparted. Navigation charts of interstellar currents, energy manipulation techniques, and insights into alien civilizations filled the lab's displays. The crew worked together, guided by Elias and Lyra, testing the new information carefully and methodically. The Sentinel's lessons were clear. Humanity was not yet fully evolved, but it had the potential to survive, thrive, and explore the stars with wisdom and courage. The connection between Elias and Lyra had unlocked this potential, proving that even a single act, a soft touch, a gentle grasp, could change the course of history. That evening, Elias and Lyra returned to the cliffs where it had all begun. The auroras shimmered above, calm now, as if acknowledging their presence. Elias reached for Lyra's wrist softly, and she responded instinctively, their bond stronger than ever. "Do you ever wonder," Elias asked quietly, "if this is just the beginning?" Lyra smiled, eyes reflecting the dancing lights. "Every moment we spend here tells me it is. Humanity has been tested, and it has passed. But the universe is vast, and there is still so much to learn." They stood in silence for a while, hand in hand, listening to the gentle hum of the planet. Elias felt a surge of hope, courage, and purpose. Humanity was small, yes, fragile, yes, but capable of growth, understanding, and adaptation in ways the universe had never seen. "The universe has given us a chance," he said softly. "A chance to rise above fear, to explore, and to learn. And we cannot waste it." Lyra squeezed his hand. "Together, we will not waste it. Humanity has a future among the stars, and it begins now." As they watched the twin suns dip behind the cliffs, Elias realized that a single moment, the soft grasp of a wrist, had changed everything. It had unlocked a connection, revealed human potential, and set the stage for a new chapter in humanity's story. The Sentinel had recognized humanity's courage and empathy. Humanity had survived its test. And now, the universe awaited, full of wonder, challenge, and infinite possibilities. Elias and Lyra knew that their journey was far from over, but they also knew that whatever lay ahead, humanity could face it not through violence, not through power alone, but through understanding, courage, and the bonds that connected them to each other and to the cosmos itself. And in that moment, as the first stars appeared above Viridian 7, they understood the truth of the universe. A single touch, a single choice, a single act of courage could change everything. The universe had opened its doors. Humanity had taken its first step inside.